10-acre reality check. Welcome back, everybody. Pull up a chair because today we're gonna need to have a serious, slightly ridiculous, and very real talk about the great American dream. Picture this. You've finally done it. You scrape together your pennies, find 10 gorgeous, peaceful acres out in the middle of nowhere, and sign the papers. No HOA breathing down your neck, telling you your mailbox isn't the right shade of beige. No neighbors asking to borrow a cup of sugar at 7 o'clock in the morning. Just pure, unfettered, open sky freedom. You roll your converted bus right onto your own dirt. Your own dirt. Yank the parking brake. Kick up your feet. Crack open a cold drink. And say, hey, to yourself, I made it. I'm the king of this dirt. And then, about 3 weeks, you hear a car door slam outside. You peek through the curtains, and there's a county code enforcement officer standing in your driveway, holding a clipboard that looks like it belongs to the Pentagon. Before you start hyperventilating, grab one of those little paper bags. Let's answer the billion-dollar question that kicked off this whole rabbit hole. Am I completely out of my mind? Or is it actually legally possible to buy 10 acres, live in a Skoolie on that land temporarily, while you build setting down a permanent tiny home and not end up in legal hot water? Well, the short answer is no. You're not crazy. Thankfully, somebody thought that I'm not. It is possible, but nobody, and I mean nobody, said it was going to be a walk in the park. In fact, it is an absolute obstacle course of administrative hoops, zoning red tape, and bureaucratic gymnastics. Now, before we get into the wild stuff, let's set some ground rules about how my brain, danger Will Robinson, and this channel work. I like getting my research logged into a sense of order before locking things into the vault files. But do not mistake that for a neat, sequential, step-by-step masterclass series. Now, if you're sitting here expecting next week's video to be step 2, how to find unrestricted parcels, don't hold your breath. My next video might literally be about how to grow a monster potato in a 5-gallon bucket, or why you should paint your container garden pots not black unless you want to deep fry your root systems in the summer. We're going to bounce around, chase what's interesting, have fun with the process, and take our time. But I figure if we're ever going to look at raw land, the best place to start was simply asking, is it even allowed at all, anywhere? Well, turns out the biggest surprise isn't the price of dirt. It's that, in the eyes of the local government, owning a piece of land and having the legal permission to sleep on that land are two entirely different universes. Can you believe that? Here are the big 4 hurdles that love to ruin the party. First up, the temporary living trap. Well, you'd think, it's my land. I'll just live in my bus. I'll do that while I'm hammering nails on the tiny house. Well, a huge number of counties, I'm going to say countries, counties have rules that classify you living in a camper or a converted bus on raw land as unauthorized camping. In many places, you're legally capped at 14 to 30 days out of an entire year unless you have an open, active residential building permit with a very specific temporary dwelling variance. Without that permit, the county sees you as an illegal one-person campground, even on your own property. Second, the great sanitation standoff. You might have a magnificent, smell-free composting toilet that's saving the planet one flush at a time. The local health department, they don't care. Most jurisdictions mandate approved wet plumbing tied to a certified septic tank. And if your 10 acres has rocky ground or dense clay that fails the PERC test, you might get handed a quote for an engineered alternative septic system that runs $15,000 to $25,000. Yeah, 25 grand. That's right. Processing your own breakfast can cost more than the down payment on the acreage itself. And third, water. Yeah, you'll think, I'll just catch the rain. Not so fast. In several states, rainwater belongs to someone downstream who bought water rights back in 1880s or something like that. So harvesting it is strictly limited, and drilling a well means, well, permanent setback distances so you aren't drilling right next to that $25,000 septic tank and the water table inspections. Ooh. Well, and fourth, the size and power trap. Many rural counties still have minimum square footage rules. If the local code says a single family house has to be at least 800 square feet, your gorgeous 300 square foot tiny home is legally considered an overgrown shed, meaning no certificate of occupancy. Plus, some areas still legally require you to tie into commercial electrical grid before they let you live there. Even if you're sitting on a massive solar bank that could power a small village. So, how does anyone pull this off? Full disclosure, I'm not usually a guy who juggles a dozen Plan B scenarios. Plus, my current land acquisition fund is sitting at $2.11. So we've got a little bit of time and saving ahead of us. So my goal right now is doing the homework, finding the loopholes, and knowing the playbook inside and out. And hey, if the day comes where the savings are ready, but the local red tape on raw land turns out to be an impossible bureaucratic nightmare, well, that's where the real Plan B kicks in. You take that hard-earned nest egg and you pivot. Maybe finding a spot in a dedicated tiny home village or cooperative land community where the infrastructure and zoning are already solved. And you still get that simple, downsized life without the permit headaches. You know, not ideal, but Plan B. The dream is alive. It is doable. It's out there. But it requires doing the research before you ever land on a deal and hand over a single dollar for a deed. Now, drop a comment below with the craziest county code or zoning rules you've ever run into. Hit that like button, subscribe, so you don't miss the next random adventure, whether it's land codes or potato farming. Enjoy the stop. You can buy me a cup of coffee to keep the next one brewing if you'd like. Yeah, buy me at coffee.com at Adjusting Compass. No pressure, ever. Just having you along is the real fuel. Because, who knows, sometimes a stroke or two is all it takes to turn things around.